In this episode, you'll discover the mindset shifts often seen in people whose health unexpectedly begins to improve. You've been told it's incurable, but here at Renegade Remission, we believe in rewriting the story. If you're facing a terminal or chronic illness, you are not alone. I'm Eleni Welch, certified nutritionist, and each week I share healing strategies and remission stories to help you take control of your health, feel better, and rediscover hope. Welcome back to Renegade Remission. By the end of this episode, you'll understand the mindset shifts that often appear in stories of unexpected recovery. You'll learn what research suggests about how the brain's perception of threat or safety can influence inflammation and the body's ability to repair itself. And I'll share 5 simple mindset practices that many people find helpful during illness, so that you can begin incorporating these patterns in your own healing journey. When you listen carefully to stories of remission or unexpected improvement, a pattern often begins to emerge that many people find surprising. Long before physical symptoms begin to change, individuals frequently describe an internal shift in how they think about their illness and how they relate to their own bodies. Many people describe loosening their grip on constant fear or catastrophic thinking. Others talk about moving from a mindset of fighting their body towards a mindset of working with it. Some begin allowing moments of calm or safety that previously felt impossible during the early stages of illness. Researchers who study the biology of stress and healing have become increasingly interested in these kinds of mindset shifts because they often coincide with measurable changes inside the body. As the nervous system moves out of a constant threat response, stress hormones can stabilize, immune signaling may become more balanced, and the body's repair systems can function more effectively. While mindset alone may not cure illness, and we're careful to emphasize that healing is influenced by many factors, including treatments, nutrition, genetics, environment, and lifestyle, mindset can influence the internal conditions in which healing becomes either easier or more difficult for the body to carry out. To better understand how this works, it helps to look at what researchers have observed across many stories of recovery. One example of how a shift in mindset can change the way someone relates to illness comes from veterinarian Ian Goller, whose experience he documented in his book, You Can Conquer Cancer. In the mid-1970s, Goller was diagnosed with osteogenic sarcoma, a form of bone cancer that had developed in his leg. Despite surgery and medical treatment, the cancer eventually spread, and scans later revealed metastases in his lungs. According to his account, doctors informed him that his prognosis was extremely poor. During this period, he describes experiencing profound physical pain, as well as the emotional shock that often accompanies a life-threatening diagnosis. Like many people facing serious illness, he initially felt overwhelmed by uncertainty about the future. As he searched for ways to cope with both the illness and the fear surrounding it, Goller began exploring practices intended to calm the mind and body. These included meditation and other approaches aimed at reducing mental stress and cultivating a more stable internal state. In his memoir, he describes gradually shifting how he related to his illness. Rather than focusing only on the fear of what might happen next, he began directing attention towards practices that helped him experience moments of calm and clarity even while the illness remained present. Over time, he reports making broader lifestyle changes alongside these practices, including changes in diet and daily habits that he felt supported his overall health. In the years that followed, Goller documented that the cancer in his body eventually regressed, and he went on to live many years beyond the prognosis he had initially been given. Goller's experience is often cited as an example of how individuals sometimes respond to illness by changing not only their treatments, but also their relationship with stress, fear, and the mind itself. For many years, scientists believed the mind and body operated mostly independently. Today, we know that the brain, nervous system, immune system, and endocrine system are constantly communicating with each other. Thoughts, emotions, and perceptions can influence biological processes through several well-studied pathways. Let's explore 3 of the most important ones. The first is stress signaling and immune system. One of the most powerful ways mindset influences the body is through the stress response system, known as the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, or the HPA axis. When the brain perceives danger, uncertainty, or ongoing threat, it activates this system to prepare the body for survival. Stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline increase, heart rate rises, and energy is redirected towards immediate defense rather than long-term repair. This response is extremely helpful when a real threat is present. However, when the stress response remains activated for long periods of time, it can begin to influence other systems that are important for healing. Chronic activation of the stress response has been associated with increased inflammation, slower tissue repair, and changes in metabolic regulation. Researchers studying long-term stress have observed effects on immune cells such as natural killer cells and T cells, which play important roles in immune surveillance. When individuals experience a shift in mindset that reduces perceived threat, the stress response system can begin to settle. As stress signaling decreases, the body often reallocates resources back towards maintenance, repair, and immune balance. The second mechanism is that nervous system safety activates repair mode. This mechanism involves the nervous system's ability to detect whether the environment is safe or dangerous. Neuroscientist Stephen Porges describes this process using the concept of neuroception, which refers to the brain's automatic detection of safety or threat. This process happens largely outside of conscious awareness and influences how the nervous system regulates the body. When the brain perceives threat, the body shifts into survival physiology. Blood flow is redirected towards muscles, digestion slows, inflammation increases, and the body prioritizes short-term survival over long-term repair. When the brain perceives safety, the nervous system shifts towards parasympathetic regulation, sometimes described as the body's rest and repair state. In this mode, digestion improves, inflammatory signaling can stabilize, and the immune system functions more effectively. Mindset can influence this process because our interpretation of events plays a role in how the brain evaluates safety. If a person's internal narrative shifts from constant fear and hypervigilance towards moments of calm, trust, or acceptance, the nervous system may begin receiving signals that the immediate environment is safer than previously perceived. These shifts do not need to be dramatic in order to matter. Even brief experiences of safety, such as a supportive conversation, holding someone's hand, a calming practice, or a reframing of catastrophic thoughts, can send regulatory signals through the nervous system that influences the body's physiology. The third mechanism is the brain's expectancy and meaning response. This involves something scientists often call the expectancy effect, which refers to the brain's ability to influence physiology based on what a person believes or expects may happen. This phenomenon is closely related to what is commonly known as the placebo effect, although many researchers prefer the term meaning response because the body is responding not to deception, but to the meaning the brain has assigned to an experience. When the brain expects that something supportive or helpful is happening, it can trigger measurable physiological responses. Studies have shown that expectancy can influence pain perception, immune activity, hormone release, and even certain aspects of inflammatory signaling. For example, brain imaging studies have shown that when people believe they are receiving a helpful treatment, the brain releases signaling molecules that can affect immune cells and pain pathways. In the context of illness, a mindset shift that opens the door to possibility may influence this expectancy system. When someone begins to believe that improvement is still possible, the brain may begin activating biological pathways associated with motivation, stress regulation, and healing behaviors. And now let's look at the mindset shifts often seen in people who begin to heal. The first is shifting from constant threat to moments of safety. When someone first receives a frightening diagnosis, the mind often moves into a constant state of hypervigilance. Every symptom feels like a warning sign, and the future can sometimes feel like a continuous stream of worst-case scenarios. Over time, people who heal discover small ways to interrupt that cycle. A person might notice that during a walk outside or while talking with a trusted friend, their body briefly feels calmer. Another might realize that not every sensation in their body means something terrible is happening. These small moments of perceived safety matter because they send signals to the nervous system that the immediate environment may not be as dangerous as the brain initially believed. As these signals accumulate, the body can begin shifting out of that fight or flight, constant survival mode and into the rest and repair state. The second mindset shift is one from self-blame to partnership with the body. Many people living with illness struggle with feeling that their body has betrayed them or that they somehow caused their illness. These thoughts can create a painful internal conflict in which the mind is constantly criticizing the body and engaging in negative self-talk. A shift often occurs when someone begins viewing the body through a different lens. Instead of seeing symptoms as a sign that the body is broken, they begin interpreting them as signals that the body is trying to adapt or protect itself. The people who experience this mindset shift are those who realize that the body is innately intelligent and is always trying to heal. This shift from criticism to cooperation can reduce psychological stress and create a more supportive internal environment for healing. The third mindset shift is one from urgency and control to patience with the healing process. Serious illness often creates an intense sense of urgency. People understandably feel that they must fix everything immediately, which can lead to constant research, frantic decision-making, and overwhelming pressure. Some people eventually discover that this constant urgency keeps their nervous system in a persistent state of stress. A mindset shift can occur when they begin allowing healing to unfold gradually rather than demanding immediate results. For instance, someone who previously tried to overhaul their entire lifestyle in a single week might instead begin introducing changes slowly, focusing on one supportive habit at a time. This approach allows the body to adapt more gently and reduces the physiological stress associated with constant pressure. Having patience requires that you recognize that biological repair occurs over time. You didn't get sick overnight, and you won't heal overnight either, but that doesn't mean you aren't healing. The fourth mindset shift is one from isolation to connection. Illness can be profoundly isolating, and many people feel that others cannot fully understand what they are going through, and as a result, they may withdraw socially as symptoms progress. A common shift in recovery stories occurs when individuals begin allowing more support into their lives. This might involve joining a support group, speaking honestly with a close friend, or working with a compassionate healthcare practitioner. For example, someone who previously tried to handle their illness alone might begin sharing their experience with a small group of people who truly understand the challenges of chronic illness. Research consistently shows that social support influences stress physiology, immune regulation, and emotional resilience. Perhaps the most subtle mindset shifts involve the transition from complete hopelessness to the idea that improvement might still be possible. For example, a person who previously believed their condition would only worsen might begin allowing the possibility that their body could stabilize or improve with the right support. This shift can restore motivation to explore treatments, make supportive lifestyle changes, and remain engaged in the healing process. Researchers studying hope and resilience have found that when people believe change is possible, they are more likely to engage in behaviors that support recovery. Even a small sense of possibility can influence how the brain regulates stress and motivation. When the mind shifts towards safety, partnership, connection, and possibility, the nervous system and immune system receive signals that support regulation and repair. Your healing does not depend on maintaining a perfect mindset every day. It depends on creating conditions that support your body as it does the work of recovery. Even small shifts in how you relate to your illness can begin changing the internal landscape in which healing unfolds. In upcoming episodes, we'll continue discussing the mind-body connection, lifestyle changes, and nutrition that support healing and repair. So stay tuned for those episodes, and as always, go be renegades.